Now we're ready?
Remember this room, Jared?
I do, my friend.
Goes back to the days.
Acoustic shows.
Do you remember how sick you were?
I remember that I had to go to the doctor at the mall. Are we rolling?
Oh,
We
no.
should be rolling on this. Yeah, we can get into that.
Did you go after you played here? Or before?
I'm not sure if it was after or before, but the last time I was in this room, I was so sick I had to literally go to there was a doctor at the mall, which is always a bad sign.
That's sketchy.
But I was so sick, and I have so many places around the world that I remember being so sick at. That's life on the road when you play, 300 shows in a row.
I remember when you were here, and I was standing right there. You were right here. You guys were singing along. And at one point, you looked at me and you were like, "This is a train wreck." And you just kept going. And I was like,
Did I?
all right, well, go ahead. All right, as long as we all know what's happening here.
Man.
Hysterical.
Yeah, I do. I have so many fond moments in touring around, and especially this part of the world over here. It was a great time. That last This Is War era.
I saw, I think 2 of the shows you did here. And I was going to say in Philly, but one of them was technically in Camden or whatever when you were at Susquehanna.
Right.
But the Electric Factory show as well.
Remember that?
The
The
you all were
Electric
like,
Factory shows
yeah.
were great, man.
Didn't we do 2 Electric Factories on the last tour, and then one?
That sounds about right, yeah.
I think we did.
'Cause
Or
one of
not.
them was definitely a blood ball at some point.
At some point.
I remember you got
Yeah.
all the way out to the soundboard at
Yeah.
some point at the Electric Factory. I lost you in the crowd, and I was up in the mezzanine, and I was like, "Where is he?" And I was looking for the pink mohawk.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, where did he go? And like, I just totally lost you. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, boop, there you popped up on top of the soundboard.
That's
and I was
why I had a
"Oh."
pink mohawk.
So they could find you?
for tracking
Yeah.
I
purposes.
secretly
It was a
thought,
pomegranate mohawk. but
I
it was-
thought that's why you did. I was like, he did it so like people can find him
That's
pretty
it.
quickly.
That, back when there were in the kind of Greco-Roman days, that's why they would wear those feathered helmets. And different feathers and different colors, like the horsehair plumes represented different battalions. And there's my sergeant, because it would get so dusty. It would be hard to people. Yeah, it would be hard to see people. And so and from afar, you'd be like, "Oh, that's my guy. I got to go back towards my guy." Yeah.
So that's how you create your own.
No,
He's
but
your
I was
gladiator,
just
I guess,
just
or- I don't
riffing
know.
on a theme. I don't know.
Okay.
Just a
Do you
little
like
history lesson.
gladiators?
Do you like movies about
Tomo, there's
gladiators?
our
Like
Sergeant.
gladiator films, Billy?
Have you ever been kicked in the head with a steel boot?
You ever seen a grown man naked, Billy?
You like
We're obviously
gladiators?
all the same age.
Well, do you?
Hey, how
Do you
about
like
how
it?
about this one? I've never done this before. The horse.
What?
Shanna remembers. Don't you remember the woman?
No.
That was like,
You don't
wait a minute,
remember
this got
that?
weird.
No.
Shannon, you remember that? The woman sitting on the plane, and she's like keeps like, I guess, mile high clubbing, and then a guy after guy comes up, and then all of a sudden she says the same thing. Well, I've really never done this before, and they widen up, and it's a donkey.
Oh, boy.
I don't know how they got away with
Yeah.
It's
that.
the
Yeah.
80s, man.
I smell a
It's
remake.
the 80s.
Was it? Well, there was a sequel to Airplane.
Yeah,
But it
of
wasn't-
course, maybe a few.
Wasn't as good.
Oh, it never
The
is.
first
too.
one, man.
Yeah.
That was
Donkey sex is never great the second time.
I didn't enjoy
That's a
it.
rule.
Well, thanks for volunteering the information.
But I did read an article recently about these guys that were sneaking into a horse farm and having sex with a horse, or a horse having sex with them, and it's real. I mean, it's really
Guys?
sad. Yeah, these guys, and number one, a guy died. That's how they got caught.
I think so.
He's hurt his insides, obviously. And then they dropped him off at the hospital, just dumped him there, and kind of took off. And they ended up catching everybody. But I guess in the article it was like the horse wasn't harmed, but man,
What-
how bizarre.
what-
Well, Billy,
new-
let's
what-
go to the barn.
What
pretty out
news
there.
page are
Pretty
you
out there.
reading?
I
Like,
believe it was Huffington Post, which I follow on Twitter, and that's where I got
Okay.
that tidbit of information.
okay, gladiators, horse sex. This is really
we
turning
started
out
off
What
to
an
a
interview,
great
Wendy.
interview.
We started off on an interesting
interview.
foot here.
I guarantee one thing: nobody's changing the channel right now.
Okay, well, I'm good with
We
it.
know how to keep people pinned down.
What do you
which
tell you
leads
about
us
the
to a
next thing?
conversation about BDSM.
Where did that come from? Maybe the Up in the Air video, maybe the Hurricane video, maybe.
Maybe.
There's a little bit of a.
There's a theme happening here
Yeah.
We like to do things
differently.
Differently.
Well, obviously, you just like to do things too. So, I mean, there's no shame in the
obviously.
game.
It's an action
There was a
world.
lot of restraint with the Up in the Air video. There were things that are in the cutting room floor that were quite bizarre, but I felt like the images that were there almost got disrupted if we went too far into the gutter. But man, that was a wonderful experience. 4 days shooting in Los Angeles at this 1 million square foot hangar called the Boeing hangar. And we just worked with some of the most unbelievable performers and artists and made really the video of a lifetime, I think.
Question number one: would there be a director's cut to something like that?
There would be, but unfortunately the director is in rehab.
Oh,
Yeah.
but you would be cool with releasing like an alternate edition of that?
Yeah.
Alternate.
I think it is what it is, to tell you the truth. I don't know if we'll do an alternate version. It's 8 minutes long now, 8.5 with the credits. But it's done really well for us. I mean, it's got over 5 million, I think, views just right around there in just a few weeks. And it's gotten the biggest response really to anything we've ever done. So that's been nice. And it's hard to keep hitting that bar with the videos because we've really had a lot of success with them, and there's a huge expectation when we put out a music video that it's going to be in line with or as good as the previous efforts. So it takes a lot of energy and effort and work.
And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about the videos. You know, there's bands now like Fall Out Boys doing this whole thing that like they're going to do a video that tells a storyline for every song on their album.
The same story.
It's a continuing storyline,
Yeah.
which is a really cool concept.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
But what you guys do with your videos, I feel like there has been a little bit of a storyline. Like I felt like the video for Up in the Air, Hurricane, there was a similar vibe to those two.
Yeah.
And there was a story. It was an abstract story. Would you see ever, because the bar is set so high with your videos, making like a storyline of videos?
I've always wanted to do that, and I mean, I think that's a great way to make a film. You know, you piece together all of these things. The problem is finding the time to
Right.
do it and do it well. It's really difficult when you're on tour. If you got other things, other responsibilities. It took from October. I started doing pre-production on the video, and I finished in April. So that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
But in order to do things at the level of quality that we like to, it would probably be really difficult to do a video for every single song. What I've talked about in the past is probably using 2 or 3 songs per piece, and maybe there being 3, 4, 5, 6 different pieces
Okay.
to represent the entire album. Like Up in the Air uses a piece of Depuis le Debut. No, it uses a piece of Convergent? No, Depuis, or Pyres of Varanasi. Pyres of Varanasi in the front. And then at the end uses a song called Birth, which is the first song of the album. And of course, the Up in the Air.
Right.